Okay, Coach, good evening. Thanks for joining us. We'll ask you to make some opening comments about the game and looking forward to this week's contest. And then we will take questions from the media. A reminder to keep yourselves muted if you're not speaking, and raise your hand if you have a question. So with that, Coach, we'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Definitely the guys, they fought hard last night, but when it comes down to it, it comes down to execution. And, just as a whole, just on defense, gave up, way too many rushing yards, and it damn near came down to so many missed tackles. And then you all of a sudden look on offense, who was 5 for 16 on third down. So those were the two biggest things. I mean, we created some turnovers and different things like that were positives. But at the same time, you got to take advantage of those turnovers. You got to turn those into 7 points. And, we had 3 field goals that we made last night and 1 we missed, but you need to convert those to touchdowns. And we need to make sure we can continue to take advantage of the opportunities that we're given. Arizona State has a really good team. They played well last night. It was a tough venue, but it was a very winnable game. How we did a couple of things here or there, but we lost the football game last night, so it's time to move forward and, get guys ready for Cal.
Okay, we'll go to the questions. Start with Adam Grossbard.
Yeah, Donte, if, as you said last night, you're still kind of in the process of evaluating whether or not the alternating quarterback system is the right system for this team. What does that process of evaluation look like this week?
Yesterday, both of them got dinged up, which is not a positive. So both of them are dealing with different things that, we need those guys to be healthy. And, that situation is more coming down to where we're going to make a decision, but it's going to be darn near based off guys' health. We have quite a few guys that got banged up last night, and, we got to see where our team is. Everybody got treatment today, and we'll see where guys are at for tomorrow.
I know you mentioned that Jackson was dealing with a hand thing yesterday. What is it that Keaton is dealing with?
Still a lower leg injury. Both guys are both dealing with something a little different. So we'll see where that heads.
Is that something that Keaton happened to him during the game yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go to Nathan Ackerman.
Hey, Donte, when Jackson scored his first touchdown at some point in the second quarter, what was it particular that he did that you didn't like? It seemed like you kind of had some words with him on the sideline about the touchdown celebration or something like that.
Yeah, the celebration when he scored. Jumping in the air and flicking the ball and everything else, hand the ball to the ref. Had they caught a taunting penalty and move that back, then everybody would be upset. So, like I said, we have a standard. Make sure he hands the ball to the refs. He understands that standard, and he was very apologetic about it. But I made sure that, he understands the standard, especially him being the quarterback that he has to uphold.
He's the kind of player that, his energy seems to, I don't know, the offense tends to feed off of that sometimes. Do you worry that not letting him do those kinds of things will prevent the offense from being able to feed off of something like that?
No. He's going to score a lot of touchdowns here at USC. That's just going to be one of many. So, like I say, just hand the ball to the ref. It's okay. It's like, when Larry Fitzgerald scored 100 and something touchdowns, he handed to the ball all one. The ball to the ref, all 100-something touchdowns. So it's a standard, and make sure we keep it. I watched the game a couple weeks ago, and the guy did the smallest celebration ever, and they moved it back. So, like I say, it's a standard. Just make sure we uphold that standard.
Thanks.
Okay, next up, it says Ryan's iPhone. I believe that's Ryan Karchi, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Thanks. Donte, I know you said Keontae got a little dinged up yesterday, and we didn't see him in the fourth quarter. What's his status generally, and how concerned just going forward are you that opposing defenses will kind of play you guys again for the run, and will dedicate a lot of attention to that going forward?
He's a little banged up. We'll see. Once again, it's hard to say because today we don't see the players. They come in for treatment, but we don't test them running and different things like that. So we'll see where he's at, tomorrow when we have a light practice on Monday, and see going forward. It's hard to say right now when it's so far away from the game. But, I hope guys, teams gear up to stop the run. Then, all of a sudden we'll get some more one-on-one opportunities in the pass. That's the whole thing. You got to keep guys guessing. But if we're just one dimensional, only do one thing, then, we definitely have problems offensively. But I think right now, we're good enough to where all of a sudden teams, respect our run game. And that's what I want.
And what exactly was Keontae's injury that held him out?
He's also dealing with a lower leg injury.
Okay, we'll go over to Ryan Abraham. You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Hey, Donte. For the two quarterback system, do you feel like it's impacted Keaton Slovis's confidence at all? He seemed to be someone that really shined later in games, fourth quarters in games. And last night, you guys went 3 and out 3 times and then an interception. I know that wasn't all his drives, but do you feel like playing two quarterbacks has hurt his confidence at all?
I don't know if it has hurt his confidence. He's a guy that has played a lot of football. So when I look at him, I don't see someone whose confidence is hurt. I see someone who, has control of the offense. He's still, aligning guys up right. He's still making sure he puts us in the right spot, whether it's a pass or run on certain situations. Just at moments and times, just like all of us, we've all have struggled. And, we're struggling in some of the worst moments. So, even in that game, I believe we outscored the other team in the third quarter. But the problem was we got outscored in the fourth. And, we pride ourselves on finishing. And last night we didn't finish.
And then just with the tackling situation, I mean, some big plays by the defense, 3 turnovers forced, but obviously some problems tackling White and some of the ASU players. Like, is that something you can address in the last, with only 3 games left, something you can kind of try to fix to finish out the season?
Well, for one thing, I hope it's 4 games left. And yeah, we better, continue to address it. Like I say, it's never too late, for especially these players that are in college to learn something. It's almost a little too late sometimes in the pros, because in the pros in practice during the week, you don't get a chance to tackle or hit somebody. It's not the same. In college, because the team is so much bigger, you still get a chance to grow even in this late in the season when it comes to tackling. So, once again, it's just about guys being able to win their one-on-one battles when, the opportunity calls.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, let's jump down to Ryan Young.
Hey, Donte. Obviously, a lot of the issues with this team existed well before you were thrust in this role. Have you been surprised, though, at how hard it's been to maybe correct some of those flaws and on the fly and try and change things in the midst of the season?
No, I would not be, if it was so hard. This is, I knew what it was when I, stepped into this particular role. Like, I'm very grateful for this opportunity. So I wouldn't say that I knew that it was going to be this hard, because I already assumed it would be hard, period. But at the same time, like, I'm not focused on what has already happened in the past. I'm all about what we can do going forward. You can't change the past. Only thing you can do is try to correct it so it doesn't happen again. And, that's why it sucks when some of the same bad habits appear week in and week out. And especially when you do everything in practice to try to correct it. So obviously we need to all, together try a little harder to make sure we make corrections to those mistakes.
And building off that, obviously it's a very demanding game, a very emotional game. And when guys put what they put into it each week and don't get the results, how much do you worry about just the morale taking the hit just naturally because they're not getting the reward each week for the work that goes into it?
That's the greatest thing about a team sport. You got to be willing to give your all week in and week out without any guarantee of success. And like I say, I fell in love with the process of this. If you fall in love with the wins and losses and that's all you care about and that's what you fall in love with, you're going to be really disappointed. It's almost like a player falling in love with only scoring touchdowns. But if he runs for 200 yards or catches for 200 yards and he didn't score a touchdown and we won the game by 21, he's going to be disappointed because he fell in love with just touchdowns. So I fell in love with the process. And, in that locker room after the game, you could hear a pin drop of guys holding on to every word what I was saying in their eyes, how they were staring at me. It wasn't no guys messing around, looking around. So I do feel that this team is still very brought in. I don't feel the morale has dipped down. That's for everyone else to write about or talk about or give up on us. But that's why it matters about the guys that are in that room that are playing in these games. Their morale isn't shaking at all.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, back to Adam Grossbard.
Dante, as far as like the fourth quarter went with Keaton getting the ball for both those first two drives, was that a matter of riding the hot hand in this game?
No, I mean, right now, when you look at both guys, neither one were extremely, hot in that game at any point. But like I said, we had a couple, dings and bumps and bruises, and we were trying to make sure we put the best guy on the field that at the time was probably the most healthiest to lead us.
Sure, but Jackson came in to finish the game. So what was the thought process of putting Keaton in when it was a one possession game in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, once again, Jackson had to get looked at, so you have a lot of people that have to get cleared, and that's why, our training staff does a great job and they keep me up to date with a lot of things that are going on. But it wasn't, like I said, I have full confidence in both guys, right? About making sure they get the job done. So it's not like I feel more comfortable with one in the fourth quarter or one in the first quarter or second quarters. It's two guys that I think are capable of winning football games. We have to make sure we have the best guy in at that moment in time to win the football game, whether it's because one guy's a little more healthier, one guy's maybe had the hot streak, one guy at a particular time can lead the offense a little better. So it's a lot of different circumstances and goes into play with it.
Nathan Ackerman.
How do you choose between Parker and Alex for all the kicking, roles? It seemed like, Alex came in last week for accountability reasons or something like that. And then he went 4-for-4. He didn't miss a kick. And then it was Parker back in there yesterday. But Alex was doing most of the kickoff. So what goes into that?
Parker, was a starting kicker. Like I said, he lost his role because of things that didn't happen on the field. So he was back to being a, starting kicker. And Parker, he has the NFL leg. So when it comes to, 40, 50-yard field goals, don't hesitate on calling them and, letting them kick those. Stackhouse has, been really consistent with kickoffs, and he's a very consistent kicker in general. Parker also yesterday, I don't know exactly from what happened, but, he, had a hand or a wrist injury also, and that's why you saw his stuff, get taped up and everything else. So he had a little bit of issue, which we feel field goals, he still can kick, but when it comes to kicking off and everything else, if just so happened if a guy happened to break, we wanted, Stackhouse in there still to make the tackle.
So it'll be Parker moving forward on field goals and then Alex on the kickoffs?
For right now, yeah, that's what it will be.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to do two more questions. First one, Ryan Karchi.
Hey, Donte, I know you got, Cortland didn't play yesterday, and then we saw Liam Jimmons come out. How concerned are you that, you may have to operate with a different offensive line, maybe without those two guys going forward?
It's always very concerning, especially when you move different linemen in there, because some of the fact is line is different than any other position. You have five guys that have to move in sync like a dance unit. They all need to step right. Everyone needs to step right. Step left. Everyone step left. So, it's different always when you got new guys in there. We're very fortunate that, all season we pretty much play 7 offensive linemen. The problem is right now that it could look like that we're down to 5. And, you got to keep those same 5 guys in. You really don't have the leeway of 2 other guys pretty much being the 6th and 7th man off the bench. So that kind of becomes a little bit of concerning. But like I said, we're fortunate enough that, we played 7 guys all year. And, it's to the point where we could be down to 5.
And how did you feel, that the line that you had kind of that came in with Andrew Voorhees, left tackle, Justin Dedich coming in? How did you feel like those guys did kind of stepping in?
For the most part, they did well. ASU always presents a problem with the front. Nose guard's pretty darn good, and they blitz certain gaps. So everyone looks at the run game sometimes, and they look at the run game. If it doesn't work right, everyone wants to blame the O-line. Like that's not always just the case. So sometimes they have an extra hat on the ball that you don't account for. So it's different things that goes into play, or sometimes like it was a receiver missing a block or a tight end or different things like that. So all in all, they played pretty darn well. I don't know the stats off the top of my head, but I can't tell you how many sacks, were allowed. But right now, I don't remember 0 or 1 for that matter. So, just with the way ASU plays, they blitz a lot. That all in all, from the film that I've seen and I've watched the game multiple times, I believe they play steady.
Thanks.
Let's do our last question from Ryan Young.
Donte, you got to evaluate a lot of young receivers and tight ends. Did any of them really make an impression on you? And what was the procedure and how you determined who was going out when with those guys?
Well, for one, I mean, you can't, especially with the kind of offense that we play, you can't just have a receiver out there for 90 straight plays. I mean, guys are going to burn out. So you got to have somewhat of a rotation going out there, receiver and tight end, and play different guys. And, you try to mix guys in there for different packages or whatnot. So there's a lot of guys playing right now. Hopefully, we start to get a couple guys even back this week, whether that's a Michael Trigg and a couple other guys. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully it's able to happen. But, all in all, guys were doing different things and, playing different spots. So hopefully it only gets better moving forward. That was the worst that you see in some of the young guys.
Thanks a lot.
Welcome.
Okay, Donte, thanks for taking the time with us tonight. Media, thank you for being here. Reminder, we'll be out on the field on Tuesday with media availability. So we will see everybody then. Until then, have a great time. Thank you.
I don't.